committee meeting available via WebEx, and we do have guests joining the meeting via the WebEx service. And for their benefit, we ask that everyone who speaks here, if you could precede your comments by stating your name, and likewise when our guests on WebEx, if they are going to speak, that we ask that they precede their comments with stating their name for the record. This meeting is being recorded, and it'll help us later on determine who's speaking for minutes and notes. If you are on WebEx and during the times of the meeting where there's opportunity for public comment, we'll provide you instructions at that time, but if you're on a mobile device, a phone, *6 will mute you or unmute you, and *3 raises an electronic hand. Also, if you're on a computer, a laptop, or a desktop, the WebEx icons at the bottom of the screen will guide you in terms of raising your electronic hand to be recognized. Our operator, Mr. Kennedy, will be asking for those who are joining us via WebEx at the appropriate times if they wish to join us. We know that Commissioner Howe is joining this meeting via WebEx as well. Good evening, Commissioner Howe.
Good evening.
All right. Mr. President, I'll turn the floor back to you. Just remind everyone that the rules of procedure that apply to committee meetings are in effect this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Currently, we have 5 Levy Court commissioners present in the room. Have Commissioner Howe on WebEx, and Commissioner Angel had something come up, and he'll be a little bit late. And before I open the committee meetings, I'd like to remind everyone tonight that you are not the only one that will be speaking tonight. So please keep your comments concise, and knowing that other folks will be coming in after you to talk about their topic. So with that being said, the first item on the agenda is Community Services Committee. Mr. Sweeney is the chair. I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tonight we have with us Mrs. McKendall. Hi, come on down, have a seat. Absolutely, yep. So the floor is yours, ma'am.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? All righty. Good evening. My name is Flora McKendall, and I'm here tonight on behalf of the Central Delaware NAACP branch situated right here in Dover. And first and foremost, I want to extend a sincere note of thanks to all of the commissioners for allowing me to be here tonight. I really appreciate it. For those of you who may not know what the NAACP is, hard to believe, but some people do not, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People is the largest, oldest civil rights organization in the nation. Incorporated in 1909, the NAACP was formed in response to ongoing racial injustices happening across the country. The NAACP has been at the helm of every major social justice movement in the 20th and 21st century. Major NAACP victories include the 1954 Supreme Court decision in Brown versus Board of Education, which desegregated schools, the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibited discrimination on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, and national origin, and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which prohibited racial discrimination in voting. We continue to be on the forefront, advocating for a more fair and equitable society in key areas including criminal justice, healthcare, education, environmental justice, and the economy. And it's in that spirit that I'm here today, because hopefully I am not by myself when I say that my heart aches at some of the conditions that I'm starting to see play out in Kent County and our communities. We've reached an unprecedented critical time in Kent County, particularly in Dover, where there has been an exponential increase in unemployment, homelessness, and gun, drug, and gang-related violence, which in the NAACP's view constitutes a public health crisis, one that has been exacerbated by COVID-19. Black, brown, and poor white communities have and continue to be disproportionately impacted by lack of affordable housing, lack of economic opportunities, and disparities in quality health and education. And we know that the research shows time and time again that lack of education is intricately linked to crime and violence is intricately linked to poverty, and then poverty is intricately linked to poor health. American Rescue Plan Act funds present a unique and valuable opportunity to put support, resources, and substance into vulnerable and marginalized communities to address these societal ills and advance equity. And the NAACP, in collaboration with other organizations and advocacy groups, are closely monitoring how government officials budget and prioritize the expenditure of these funds to ensure that they will support youth jobs and education programs, affordable housing, and economic development opportunities within low-income communities. Because if the most recent elections haven't shown us anything, it has taught us that officials, respectfully, may have the position, but the people have the power. Last year, the Delaware NAACP mobilized thousands of voters, and we registered hundreds. And we will continue building people power so that when election time comes around again, we'll be able to identify, whether it be the state, local, or federal level, issues that have major impacts on the communities that we serve, examine the scorecard of the officials that are in office, and see where they stand on those issues, and then vote accordingly when election time rolls around. As I prepare to close, I just really want to emphasize that equalizing social, health, education, and economic outcomes and advancing equity will never be achieved by one group, one race, one class, or one political party. So like I say to my branch members, there's no reason in looking around to your left or your right to see who's responsible for equalizing these outcomes. We need to look in the mirror, you, me, all of us. It's gonna take the collaborative effort of all of us to get this done. And we all have an obligation and a moral responsibility to do so. So I came here tonight just to let the commissioners know that the NAACP is eager to expand our coalition of changemakers and would like to partner with Kent County commissioners to advance our social justice mission. We hope to have a near future opportunity to engage in a deeper dialogue relative to what I've discussed with you tonight, and try to hopefully identify ways that we may be able to make a partnership happen. Thank you again for having me tonight, and I'm open to any questions.
Any questions for Ms. McKendall? Are you from Kent County?
I'm from New Jersey.
Oh, you're
Newark,
from New Jersey.
But I've been here about 14 years.
So do you have any specific ideas about what can happen in Kent County?
Well, we do a lot of work up and down the state, and I just attended the 29th RD Democratic Committee meeting last week, and I met with Bill Bush. I believe one of your commissioners was there as well. And we were talking about the redistricting, and we're talking about youth enrichment and programs, because we know that it's really the youth that's being impacted at this point when we see what's playing out in the community. And I'm sure some of you, if not all, like me, we go to living wage jobs, and then we go home to our nice homes, decent homes, right? And we don't suffer from some of the social ills that other people in the community are suffering from. So what I would like to see happen, and what the NAACP at the national and state level has been working with Governor Carney, we've had conversations with the previous prison commissioner, Claire DeMatteis, Secretary Bunting of Education, and others, is about youth enrichment programs to really get to the root of what we're seeing play out. Because right now, I think we're putting more policing on the street. We have a lot of programs at the adult level, but not as many at the youth level. And I think that we really need to pour in some economic development opportunities to the youth, because they're reverting to gang and drug crimes, selling drugs and gang violence. So we would like to see that happening. We know that the gun violence and the uptick in the gun violence in Dover is it's a real uptick. And so, we would like to see some resources put into that, some interventionists, some crisis intervention out on the streets. Tom Johnson, Chief Tom Johnson from the Dover PD, I worked alongside with him and his unit, their community policing unit, where they have a mobile mini substation that's going out into the communities. But it's just not enough. They have one vehicle, and it goes out and it does athletic events, and then it does, crime, and, it's just not enough. So we need more community resources, real support, real substance, and, real resources to reach the inner city of Dover. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Mr. Buxton?
Sure. It's not even a question, it's more of a request. You mentioned you went to the 29th,
Yes,
had a conversation. Would you be willing to go to the other 29th?
absolutely.
Sure. Would you be willing to allow me to come to one of your meetings and have an open, honest dialogue?
Absolutely. We're meeting tonight at 7, and I forwent that meeting to be here. So they're meeting right now, and I have my first vice president facilitating that meeting. But I would absolutely love to provide you with an opportunity. I can send you, we meet via Zoom still, and provide you all with that opportunity to come to a meeting. We meet on the third Tuesday of every month at 7 p.m., which is probably going to conflict with you all's meeting. But the executive committee meets on the second Tuesday of each month at 7. So even if you come and meet with just the board, that may not interfere with your third Tuesday's meeting.
How about if I just set up a meeting and come see you, or a couple of your,
Absolutely.
and I'll come to you?
Absolutely. And please know that the NAACP is nonpartisan. We don't endorse or back parties. We educate people on what's on the ballot, obviously. And, you know, we educate people on the scorecards of what some of the people in office are already doing, what they campaigned on and said they were going to do, and if they're fulfilling those promises. And then, obviously, we vote accordingly once election comes up. But, you know, again, we would love to have you join us, and I would love to meet with you so that maybe we can have a deeper dialogue about some of the things that are going on.
I have had those conversations, I can tell you. I'll talk to you about it at a
Okay.
different time. I would welcome that opportunity. Thank you. Sure. All right.
Any other questions? Seeing none? Thank you for coming. We appreciate it, and your flexibility with moving your meeting around. We meet almost every Tuesday night starting now, so it'll be tough, but maybe we can set up an arrangement that I can come meet with you guys too.
Thank you very much. I'll follow up in an email.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for your time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
Ken?
Any public comments on this topic? Any public comments? Seeing none, back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. This time we have the Administration Committee. Commissioner Angel is not here. First item on the agenda is DE Turf.
I'm good, how are you?
I'm good. There.
Hi there. Hi, how are you?
Good evening. Good evening, good evening, Bill.
Just 1 second.
Would it be okay to take the mask off to speak?
Well, Commissioners, thank you, first of all, very much for having us this evening. We've traditionally provided Levy Court with an update on the DE turf, and would like to do so this evening. In addition to that, I'm not sure everyone has met our outstanding new Executive Director, Angie Eliason, who's to my left and will be presenting. Angie came to us really at the outset of COVID, and did some fantastic things trying to work through the challenge that was the COVID year, as we call it, which resulted in a number of cancellations, postponements, and other things that were disruptive to the complex. And through it all, she led us through that period in a remarkable way. And she tonight will provide an update on the turf and then answer any questions that you folks might have.
Hi, thank you all. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you again if I've already met you. Just want to thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of your vision. It's absolutely amazing and remarkable what you were able to accomplish here in Central Delaware in building the turf. I previously was the Director of Operations and Events for U.S. Youth Soccer, basically ran soccer for the country. So I've seen a lot of complexes in many, many places, and you have one of the best. So kudos to you for that. We'll go back one slide. So just rolling into that, I just want you guys to know that it is world-class. It is a catalyst here for the economy in Kent County, Central Delaware, and actually the state as a whole. The generosity of you and the continued support that you give. I have a quote from one of our largest tournament operators I really would like to share with you tonight. The DE Turf constantly provides a first-class facility and stellar staff to support premier field hockey events. The willingness of the staff to provide a safe environment in 2020 exceeded expectations and allowed our event company to continue to provide critical opportunities for youth sport in a safe and positive way and kept our business operational. The facility continues to adapt to the needs of the events that it hosts and always supports our mission to provide a first-class experience for the participants, umpires, coaches, and spectators. That's Ainsley Lamb. Just for a point of reference, she's heavily involved with USA Field Hockey and the national teams, as well as hosting the largest field hockey events on the East Coast and the Mid-Atlantic. $78 million. That's what we're excited about for 2021. That's the economic impact of the events that we have already ran and are going to continue to run through the end of the year. We have 46 out-of-state tournaments. Those are large events encompassing the entire complex. With the University of Delaware, we've come up with the number of about 1.7 million per event. That brings to the economy here in Central Delaware. And also, since 2019, we've increased our local participation here in Central Delaware 40% with all the recreational kids, mini kickers, adult leagues, and such serving the citizens. Just a little bit of a recap from 2020. $65 million was the economic impact that Central Delaware lost due to COVID-related issues. The revenue for DE Turf, $2.3 million. There was 58 events that canceled. I just want to put that in perspective a little bit for you because the numbers don't match with the last slide. There's event operators who booked multi-year tournaments with us, so 2020, 21, and 22, who lost their businesses in COVID, and so they're rolled into that number, events that would have been happening this year and next year. Additionally, there's many events, when we were able to get open in July, that were scheduled to be in other states where places were closed and were calling us, coming over just to run one-day events or 5 or 6 fields. So all of that's rolled into the $65 million projected that would have come to Kent County.
So as a segue to from Angie's comments, there are a lot of folks out here like the DE Turf who've gone through a very difficult time due to COVID. And this is not an ask this evening. This is simply informational and hopefully putting into context where the DE Turf and a lot of businesses are. The DE Turf, as you look at the criteria established by the federal government with the American Rescue Plan Act, clearly hits some of the measurements that they're looking for in terms of organizations that deserve consideration. And those buckets are tourism, travel, and hospitality. And I think in each one of those buckets, the DE Turf meets that criteria. So as Levy Court moves forward in its evaluation of this, I would only tell you that the DE Turf is capably managing through a very difficult problem. But there are a lot of folks out there who are really hurting. And whether it's a fire company, whether it's the DE Turf complex, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a hotel, I would only ask that Levy Court use the same wisdom, same leadership that was employed when you partnered with us to move the DE Turf forward to address some of these pressing needs from the community. What makes the DE Turf unique, I think, is the same thing you guys saw, which is the catalytic effect. You see a couple of comments there from some local businesses. The House of Coffee. I don't know if you folks are coffee drinkers, but this is from Kristen Stonecipher, who owns the House of Coffee. The House of Coffee, as well as many other businesses, see a huge uptick in business that is directly correlated to the DE Turf schedule. During FY 2020, we would see a 10 to 15% bump in gross revenue associated with the tournament schedule. We currently see a 19 to 24% increase in sales when the DE Turf has events. Another comment, anytime there is a big tournament, the Green Turtle benefits. We probably make over $10,000 more per week when the big tournaments are in town. We have the capability to have big groups, but still have to turn away groups of 30 or more. We love the DE Turf. Jason Hayjack, who is the general manager of the Green Turtle. I know that Rob Metting is here this evening, and Metting and Son is another business that partners very well with the DE Turf as we treat the folks that come here. It seems like about 100 years ago, but we originally pitched the idea of driving out-of-state license plates into our hotels, into our restaurants, and you folks saw the merit in pursuing that, and that has very much become a reality. So I'm very proud to be able to stand in front of you today and say, what you saw, what we saw works. And some of these testimonials that we're seeing that I referenced this evening are indicative of the success of your vision. I'd like to close with a video, and I think what's really cool with this video is the U.S. national men's and women's lacrosse teams came to Frederica, Delaware, to the DE Turf. When you look at all the opportunities they had in this country to showcase what they hope will ultimately become an Olympic sport again, they chose Frederica, Delaware. They chose the DE Turf, which I think speaks to all the things that Angie referenced about the world-class facility that we're so fortunate to have here in Kent County. So without further ado, I'd like to share that video with you this evening.
It's coming. 1 second. I know. I can tap dance too. Would you guys like to see that instead?
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, go ahead, Shelley.
You don't want to see that, actually. Hold on. Let's see.
While Shelley works through that, I'd also like to thank President Pepper, Vice President Angel, Commissioner Maston for coming down last Thursday evening. It was a very significant event for Senator Nancy Cook, and we paid tribute to her in her induction into the DE Turf Wall of Fame, and it was appreciated. A very nice proclamation was made by Levy Court that evening, and it made for a real special night for Nancy Cook and the Turf.
Bill, you and Shelley can appreciate this Facebook. You get memories, right? Memory popped up today. September 22nd, 2011. Town Hall meeting, Sports Complex.
Is that
right
today?
at the Fire Hall.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
10 years ago.
2011.
Wow.
10 years ago.
Yeah. The shame of that, Eric, is I remember that night very well.
Face the fire well. It is what it is. That's hard to believe.
That's been 10 years old.
Yeah.
It said, according to the memory, it said September. It literally popped up today.
Wow.
It was meant to
September
be.
22nd, so technically tomorrow, 2011.
Wow. We were talking to Leadership Delaware about the DE Turf, and we had the chronology, which really dates back to 2009. And there was this a couple of years where there was no activity, and some of the Leadership Delaware fellows who were paying attention, which is hard to believe given the fact that I was presenting there, actually paying attention. But they said, what happened in those years? And we said, well, that was when we and DelDOT had a little disagreement.
Difference of opinion.
Difference of opinion. Yeah,
We have to send this video to all of you. Unless I can play.
You build us up and then not be able to show it.
Yeah.
Do any of you have any questions for me?
What do you see in 22?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
What do you see in 2022?
Very similar to 2021, an expanded tournament base. I was very fortunate when we contracted all of those events in 2020. The first order of business for me was to ensure long-term success and budget stability. So all of the people calling that wanted to move here, I told them the only way they could bring their event is they sign a 3-year contract. So we're contracted, and then we've already had some people renew. So we have our schedule pretty much set through 2024.
Wow.
The lights when they're on during the week, what is it? Is it
That's
all local?
That's all local kids. That's
All
all.
soccer, all field hockey, all lacrosse, all whatever?
Ultimate frisbee,
Yeah.
7v7 football, flag football.
Huh?
Yeah, and pretty soon the whole turf's going to be lit.
Yeah, there you go.
How are the fields holding up?
Very well, but it doesn't change the fact that probably in 8 to 10 years, we're going to need to begin the replacement process.
On Thursday night, you mentioned 42 events and the dollar amount that was. Can you repeat that for us here?
Yeah, actually, we had it up on the.
I'm sorry, I was late.
No worries at all.
That's right, Alan, we'll go back for you.
60.
The 2021, 46 events, 1.7 million per event, totaling 78 million in economic.
I just want to make sure it was out there.
That was impressive, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is.
You mentioned the additional illumination. Can you tell a little more about that project and how it's coming along? The additional illumination?
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. This past legislative session, we were able to secure from the State Bond Bill Committee the necessary funds to complete all 12 fields having lights. It's notable in that the first tournament that we hosted, the D Turf, which was an Easter weekend back in 17, the event that came there was Amesley's event, which was this large field hockey event. And I went down this past year and just wanted to thank her for coming again. And I asked her, I said, what can we do that can allow you to grow your tournament? And she said two things. She said, first and foremost, lights. If you were able to get all 12 fields lit, that would have a significant impact and allow us to literally double the size of the venue in terms of participating teams. So we saw that as an opportunity, and I hearken back to when the plan was being reviewed, the construction plan. One of the things we had to cut was lights. So we were originally planning to light all 12 fields, and due to some budgetary constraints, we went with just 5, but we built out the foundation and the wiring on those 7 fields so that it would not be as costly nor as time consuming when and if the time came that we had the resources to put the remaining 7 field lights in. So it's really exciting. We anticipate being able to get that project started in early December. So it will be very much a part of what Angie and her team are doing for event planning, not only in 2022, but moving forward. So my sense, just to weigh into Commissioner Sweeney's question, is my sense is 2022 is really going to be even better, and the years moving forward will be better because of the enhanced capacity with lights. The other thing that I think it's important to do is to go into every year like it's your first. And one of the things that we look at is how do we stay competitively relevant? How do we stay ahead? And I think adding the lights just as yet another quiver, if you will, in our arsenal to be able to protect ourselves from future competition.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of that, who's your competition?
I'll let Angie answer that, and then I'll weigh in.
In the Mid-Atlantic, no one. I don't view anyone as our competition. No one has what we have. There is some other complexes in Delaware and near, but they do not have what we have. Most of them are grass. They don't have all of the safety netting for lacrosse to be played. They don't have administrative buildings, and they definitely don't have as great a staff as I do.
Poor leadership. Poor.
You notice you left the board out. No, I would answer that question, Terry, with right now it's ourselves. It's we are our own biggest competition, and we need to approach every day with the mindset of how do we get better. And I think with Angie's leadership and her expertise in the industry, that change, the change in the executive director position during COVID, with so many things were unknown, I think reflect an organization that's forward-thinking and trying to always find a way to get better. And she clearly has elevated what we're doing at the complex.
So, Angie, with your past experience, you've booked out the field through 2024. You have a lot of experience in seeing what other complexes have done. What would you like to see different at D-Turf? So I'm talking, we know that the fields have a replacement time frame of the next 8 to 10 years. That's all well and good, that's maintenance. Is there anything else bigger you'd like to see?
Yeah. I actually just told my boss this the other day. We want to build a field hockey stadium, which was a part of the original plans for the DE Turf. I just had a meeting with a former national team player about that, and she informed me USA Field Hockey just left Spooky Nook because the complex was so horrible and treated them so poorly, so they're temporarily in Charlotte. And she said there's a big opportunity there. And I said, let me get the lights up and then we'll talk. That's my next big project or ask.
Cool, thanks.
It's a good question, too, because I think it speaks to something that you, Commissioner Sweeney, came up with during COVID, and that is to utilize the internet, the Wi-Fi service at the complex when a lot of young people were not able to access Wi-Fi. I think the thing that, the reason I say that is I think through COVID we found out something else about ourselves, and that was really emerging as a community asset.
Right.
In that, when schools were unable to open their doors and leagues were unable to be held, the D-Turf opened its doors to young people who were starved for an opportunity to get out and recreate and socialize and be just in a structured environment with athletics. I would like to see the D-Turf emerge further in that community asset role, whether that's something, and these are dreams, but whether that looks like a Winterfest event for Kent County, whether or not that looks like a 5K event, whether or not that looks like a Halloween type festival. I think that Kent County shouldn't just always acquiesce those type of opportunities to others, and if the D-Turf can help play a role in that, I think it's something we would absolutely welcome.
Cool.
Shelley, I think you have the video ready.
We're going to, yes, we do.
Yes.
I did.
So again, that was USA men's and national teams coming to Frederica, Delaware to showcase their talents. And they could have been anywhere else, but they chose Frederica, Delaware.
Other than what Commissioner Sweeney said about in the future, is there anything we need to be looking beyond that for expansion or anything?
No, I will say President Pepper said, be concise. So you've opened up Pandora's box.
Well, the only reason I'm asking that is because
Glad you did.
we've been through the pandemic, and now we're having a discussion, as Mr. Buxton always says. So, coming from a military family, we've always adapted and overcome, is what I was taught up on in the military. So we've already done that. So now we're doing good. We had 40-some, we have 1.7 million. What else is there that we can expand upon and bring here that's going to make us even better for our state, our county, and our community?
Right now, I have a strong focus to bring some more elite level soccer into the community, which will, I think, benefit the local kids as well to see that elevated play without having to leave home and travel to New Jersey, Connecticut, New York, etc. The field hockey stadium, there's a big ask for that. Ainsley, the quote that was up on the screen earlier, is very, very interested in doing that. Not additional flat fields at the moment.
Any possibility for international type playoff or anything coming here from outside our country?
Definitely with field hockey, definitely. Lacrosse, we may have missed the window because they're going to be sanctioned for the next Olympics, and I don't know. What they'll do is the national governing body will centralize the team in one place, and everything will happen there. Most likely in Colorado Springs at the Olympic Training Center. So I'm not going to say no, but there's a much better chance of field hockey than lacrosse at this point.
Would you mind sharing with the commissioners the Hispanic League success? And what's potentially coming there?
Yeah, the Milford Soccer League, which is predominantly Hispanic, plays Sundays out at the DE Turf. Every Sunday, actually, from March through November. They play every Sunday. They have a championship at the end. They have a sponsor that takes care of the big championship trophy and all of those things. We're working through some new ideas with them and some adult tournaments, soccer tournaments that will come to town. Those will be teams from all over the country, pay like $5,000 to enter a tournament, cash prizes. Brings big notoriety in the Hispanic community, which I think will be really good for around here and, Milford as well.
Great.
I have to say I'm thoroughly impressed with the 40% increase in the local participation of recreational sports. That was one of my biggest concerns, was that kids will come down there and watch some of the elite players come in from everywhere, but now you're giving them a chance to participate and to play and grow into elites themselves, which I appreciate. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Always thank you.
I apologize for the technical difficulties. Thank you.
Hey, you made it work.
You're just wanting to make it go a little bit longer, so.
I just wanted to stay.
Check, you're good. Yeah, I'll take one. Appreciate you.
Anyone else wants one, I can email it to you. I didn't bring.
You know what?
Sure, that'd be great, yeah.
Then email me one if you wouldn't mind.
Okay,
Gmail card.
Yeah.
I'm sure I can get it.
Excellent and Education's up next. If we can have you come forth, please.
Please, thank you.
You could go on consent agenda next week.
You got it.
Hello.
Hello.
And there's Tonda.
How are you? I'm glad to see you all here. First off, to introduce myself, to make sure you know why I'm here. I'm Tonda Parks, and while many of you know me as an employee of the Delaware State News, I'm here on behalf of the Excellence in Education Fund, which the Delaware State News partners with that, along with the Greater Kent Committee and the Kent Economic Partnership, and as has been in the past, the Kent County Levy Court. are just our key partners. So I'm here to give you an update on where we are and what we're trying to do moving forward. I did send in advance of the meeting an overview of where we were, but for the benefit of people that are not familiar with the Excellence in Education Fund, I'm going to share some information. The Excellence in Education Fund is a program that was created in 2019 through a generous contribution, and the purpose of it is to support and focus on assets on workforce development in Kent County. We specifically are giving consideration to programs that advance economic advantages and or to help overcome systemic barriers that exist in the communities of color, ethnicity, gender, or generational minorities. Organizations that qualify for the grants that we give must be a public institution or a qualified 501c3 nonprofit organization with documentation of nonprofit status for the IRS. I think it's important and it's interesting, the two people that presented before me, Ms. McKindle spoke about ethnic diversity and community disadvantages. And one of the things that among many things that we look at programs that help bridge some gaps in the various communities and schools that need a little boost. Also from the DE TERF's perspective, one of the things that we want to do through our programming is to help keep our young people in our county instead of them having to leave for better jobs and skills. We want to be able to help fund programs that impact the youth and encourage them to stay here because there are better jobs for them. Their credentials are better. And those are the types of things that we look at when we're assessing the grant programs. Members of our Grant Review Committee, of course, is President Pepper, who sits on the committee that reviews the grant request, and of course, Shelley Checkett from the Greater Kent Committee, and Linda Parkowski from the Kent Economic Partnership. At this juncture, that's who we have. I mean, we're open to having more people participate, but we felt like it hasn't been overwhelming yet. The programs that we funded have been Milford High School to provide workforce development credentials and certification opportunities for at-risk students. And Polytech, and I invited Jeremy McIntyre to join us this evening, and I'm going to ask that he have a few minutes to address you to give you an overview of the impact and the importance of the funding that we gave to them. Actually, we had two grant cycles. We did a grant cycle at the end of 2020, and then again in the early part of 21 to help address potential COVID-impacted funding that, and because of the generosity of many businesses and of course the seed money that this group funded, it helped us give some more money. And then we also gave a grant to Intercity Cultural League to provide workforce development training and information technology to an unrepresented population of students. And I'm not sure if someone's here from the Intercity Cultural League. They had intended to join us. Is there someone here?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So if y'all could come down, is it all right if they come down and share If you all could come down and share your experience. Jeremy? I thought you'd rather hear from somebody besides just me asking for money.
Or join us at the table.
Where do you want?
If they
Here?
want to have a seat, we can pull some chairs around.
Up here.
Just love it.
I'm sorry,
Go
I
right
can
ahead.
stand, it's fine.
There we go.
This chair? Thank you very much.
All right. And is there someone here from Milford High School? I think they had their opportunity to attend, but I can give you a report from Milford High School so you know what their grant funding did, just so you know. They asked for funding to, as I indicated, to provide workforce development credentials and certification opportunities for at-risk students. On May 4th, they were able, with the help of the Department of Labor, they hosted a community job fair. They had over 50 businesses participate and 150 participants. So they targeted an audience that was looking for jobs, for employees, and then, of course, people that were looking for jobs. The event helped 25 students actually gain employment. As part of the year-end ceremonies, they hosted a Career Technical Education Awards ceremony in which they recognized over 100 students for their participation and success in competing in state and national level events. And as part of their freshman orientation, they had 22 stations set up to create awareness for career pathways.
Okay.
And to begin discussions regarding career and technical education and the impact it has on college and career opportunities. This is an email from Jesse Parsley, who is the principal at Milford High School and who expedited this plan. The events are a key part to allow students to explore CTE pathways and to engage students in work-based learning. And we have recently placed students with the City of Milford Public Works and the Milford Chamber of Commerce. So again, it's providing career opportunities here for students that grow up here and live here, young people. And that's one of the missions of our program, is to help encourage our youth to stay here and not leave, and of course, the businesses that are in need of employees. I will turn it over to, will you please announce your names?
Okay.
Okay.
I am Ezra Williams. I'm actually one of the instructors at Inner City Cultural League for our workforce certification program. I can't tell you statistics. Ms. Christian will tell you more about those. I can just tell you that basically we look to help educate those who may be trying to decide whether or not to engage in a career in technology, that there is an opportunity for them. So I've given the course, I believe at this point it's been at least twice, and students are taught the CompTIA IT Fundamentals course. We are looking to expand that going forward because the IT Fundamentals course is, as it says, it teaches you all the fundamentals of IT. We are looking in the future to actually offer an A+ certification because that's a more generalized certification. It truly tells an employer that you truly understand both hardware and software and how to support them. So it'll make them a little bit more well-rounded to actually proceed into getting employment. One of the things we talked about is actually looking to now be able to offer internships as our program continues to develop. So we're looking to talk to various businesses and make sure or work towards those who have actually taken the course and gone ahead and get certified to at least be able to get some type of employment, so that they can truly go on and be truly productive members of society.
And good evening, everyone. I'm Kristen Henderson, and I'm the program coordinator for the Intercity Cultural League and all of the programs that we run there currently. So our organization, we target the population around where our center is located, which is downtown Dover, it tends to be the inner city, considered the inner city community, and it's an underserviced, it's a underprivileged portion of the city. And a lot of the students that we service there do not have the opportunities that other students may have that may come from a different background. So what we offer at the center we have a STREAM program, which we offer arts programs. We have all different types of things to get the children engaged, to keep them out of trouble. And our biggest program is our Cyber Street, which is Mr. Williams kind of runs that, and that is our technology program, which gets children interested in the world of technology, because as we know, everything is going to be technology-based soon. We're going into a time where it's very important to know your way around a computer, and I had to learn that myself the hard way. I'm very resistant to that, but our students, they tend to know more about technology than we do. So one thing that we are big on is cybersecurity, keeping the children safe in many different areas. And although our program for the technology certification is geared towards adults for the workforce, we also encourage children to be introduced to this as well. So with our engineering and technology program at the center, we are kind of opening the doors to this workforce development as well. We actually had in one of our, I believe it was our first session, we had a student that was in middle school that took our IT certification class, and this fueled him to want to become part of the Polytech community. And so, so he's going to Polytech for technology now, and that just opened his eyes to a whole new world that he never knew existed. So this is something that I believe is extremely important for our students and our communities. It's shown that the people in the community, that there are other ways. We do community outreach for the hotels in the area. There are some families, there are quite a few families, surprisingly to me, that are placed in hotels that do not have permanent homes. And so we go out to these hotels and we do community outreach to them, and we provide the programming that we would provide at the center, and we also introduce them to the workforce program as well as an alternative to whatever they're doing currently. So we found that it's definitely something that is, it can be a great opportunity in our community.
I'd like to read the overview from Katrina Stroud, who is the Executive Director. She shared with us, and this was why we funded their particular program. Their Paths to Certification program is close to completion for year number 2. During session 1 of the 2021 training season, 7 students were enrolled. Session 2 is expected to end in September. There are currently 2 students enrolled, both of which intend to take the certification exam. And what we in fact funded was to pay for the exam and the certification. They get a voucher, so they have no out-of-pocket expense, which can make a difference to whether somebody can actually get their certification. So we set aside the funds, and it's there for them to use for the students to get their certification. And that an important aspect of the funds that we provide, these are non-traditional grant funding. It's not like we're, a lot of grants or programs require bricks and mortar and things like that. We actually fill a gap in being able to give funding. They would not get that funding anyplace else. And I'm going to let Jeremy talk about the funding that we gave to Poly for certification programming, because it gets to the student. It's boots on the ground. which I think is an important aspect of our program. The individual began as a volunteer at Intercity Cultural League. One student has indicated he will seek a career in IT. This individual began as a volunteer at the Intercity Cultural League Sankofa Summer Camp and is currently a part-time assistant instructor with the after-school program, where he primarily engages students in technology and engineering activities. Students were almost evenly split between males and females. There was also a good mixture of ages from 17 to 60. Most students were minority. However, there were also non-minority participants. So it's, again, meeting a need across the community that is underserved, generally speaking, about that. In accordance with the program goals, we are still in contact with those students whose training ended in the spring this year. Although no one has taken advantage of the opportunity to utilize the voucher to sit for the certification exam, all have indicated a dramatic increase in knowledge and expertise that has enhanced personal and professional skills and abilities. Perhaps the most pertinent effect has been the increased awareness, knowledge, and practice of cybersecurity. This modern-day threat can and has impacted our entire world. If you use online banking or just have a bank account, use the internet to shop, emails or photos, or just about anything you can think of, you are at risk of being hacked or scammed. This year in May, the Colonial Pipeline, which is a major supplier for fuel on the East Coast, was held ransom, and this growing trend has an impact on industry. I have said all of that she has to say. Those who have or will participate in the paths to certification and all other available trainings can become eyes and ears, even warriors, to help protect businesses, communities, families, and themselves from imminent threats. The course we offer, IT Fundamentals, opens the door to many pathways in the world of information technology, including cybersecurity. Participants learn hardware setup, software installation, configuration, network connectivity, security, and basic troubleshooting. All skills which are valuable to employers in every industry. Plans are to add training for A+ certification to next year's programming. So we felt when we looked at their grant request, and there was a lot of discussion, by the way, Jerry, you'll vouch for that, a lot of discussion on all the grant requests that we get on how it can impact the community, how it can impact the workforce. So we're just not, and can they get funding from someplace else? You know, we're not looking to subsidize or give money that isn't, you know, that they can get elsewhere. This is specifically money that they're able to use. And we particularly are interested in funding that gets to, you know, that really helps get somebody certified to get to work. Do you have anything else you all would like to add before I turn it over to Jerry?
I do not, unless there are any questions.
Approximately how many students have come through the system so far since we've initially done this?
In total, I know they said that at this particular time we have 2, but if I'm not mistaken, when we started, we had a few more than that. I would say at least anywhere from 8 to 10. One gentleman had to drop because his workload increased because he was able to talk about some of the things that at least we had learned in class. And the others, I'm not sure why they have moved on to something else. But we are down to 2 diehards who have assured me, even as of yesterday, that they definitely intend to take their certifications. And as Dave said, that yes, we are still in contact with some of the people who took the course previously, and they're just still studying and becoming, for themselves, more comfortable that they can pass. I expect that some of them will take the exam as well.
What age range are we looking at when the ones have?
We've had as young as, our youngest that I ever remember, I think was Peter, and I think he would be about 13 right about now. And I'm not sure the age group, the age of the eldest person, but I heard 60.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
The reason I'm bringing that up is because the hormones are catching in, and they have other interests and other things that seem to get in the way. And so once they get that through their system, they will probably reel in come back in.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
So in our first session, there were, well, this is the ending of our second year. So altogether, we enrolled 23 students. And then I would say at this point, including the 2 that will finish shortly, there would be about 15 finishing. And out of those, there were 3 teenagers. 2 of them were 14 years old, and then Peter which was 13.
That sounds about correct.
Thank you.
And again, an important aspect is that the funding that we set aside for them is there, and for them to follow up with their students. They'll be able to go back and get to it, so that when they are ready to take the certification, the money is set aside for them to be able to do that. And we are monitoring, so we're being fiscally prudent in following up with the people that we give the grants to and asking for reports from them on what happened with the money and share with us. We're being good stewards of the money you gave us to oversee. So. Anything else?
Questions?
Any other questions?
Go ahead, proceed.
You want to pass the portable mic to the gentleman?
Or I can just, it's up to you. I mean,
Well, it's for the people that aren't.
yeah,
Turn it on.
all right.
Turn it on.
Let me turn this on here. There we go.
There you go.
All right, well, I'm Jeremy McIntyre from Polytech, the adult division there, and very happy to be here. So thank you for allowing us to do this, and we are really appreciative of the funding that we received. And I just want to tell you a little bit about how we've used that, and I hope you'll agree that we've put it to good use. So we did receive the initial award last fall, and that award helped us to fund certification exams for students who are going through our IT professional program, which at the time, I think some of you may have been here when we received the initial award, and I did indicate we were developing into an apprenticeship program. It is now an IT apprenticeship program, so we have one in Kent County. It's beginning to be embraced by industry. We've got multiple businesses now sponsoring people as registered apprentices, which is a really important way to get people into that field. It's an alternate pathway into that field, and we're excited to be a part of one of the first groups doing that, certainly here in the state, but really in the nation. It's pretty new, apprenticeship in IT. And so you helped fund certification exams for students last year, and each one of those students has taken those certifications. We've had, I think, about 18 students receive, and we do different level certifications, everything from as the gentleman talked about, CompTIA Plus, all the way up to the Network Plus, to the Cisco CCNA networking certification. There's multiple layers there and levels built into our apprenticeship, and we had students take individual exams there and earn each one of those last year. So we're very thankful for that. We know our business partners are really appreciative. Several local partners have hired those students, and some of them are now coming back to us as apprentices to continue on in the program, so that's exciting as well. We have, I think, 22 people enrolled currently in our program at this time, and we have another class that's getting ready to start in the next couple of weeks or so, so we hope to have some more added to that number. I think last year we probably had a little bit less. As I said, I think it was 18 last year, and that was primarily down because of COVID. We did run in-person classes, but people were a little more hesitant to come out last year. So that's that. Then we did actually apply for a second grant and we were awarded an interim grant. And that one we're also very excited about. We're in the middle of that process of putting that to good use right now. And we've developed, in the process of developing promotional videos to promote the joint partnership that Polytech High School and Polytech Adult Education as the apprenticeship provider are doing to promote youth apprenticeship here in Kent County. We had several speakers talk about the importance of access and the importance of access to important occupations. And I can tell you that a lot of young folks go into a lot of debt because they think that the only pathway they have is to go to college, when in fact you can make, I'm a registered apprentice myself. I went through and earned my journey person credential as a young person before I ever went to college, and or at least before I graduated. And it was a great help for me in my career pathway. And it's a great help for a lot of these small business owners, people who become journey person, people from any background. And it's a great way to enter high-paying, livable wage jobs. And we have an expanding apprentice population, but what we don't see and what we haven't seen historically is that youth population really engaging. What's happened is they go out, they spend their money on college, they go into debt, they do other things, and then about 25, 30 years old, they come and they enroll with our apprentice programs and then start digging out of the debt, out of the hole they've caused. Now we're engaging them right at the high school level, and we're using these videos to get out there and tell them. The target date we have right now is just a couple weeks from now, October 1st. Is when we're hoping to have the videos completed. It may, some of them are taking a little bit longer than we thought, but it may be complete maybe the first or second week of October. But we're pushing forward with that. And the stories of these young folks that are going through these apprenticeships and have done it are really remarkable. We have some young folks who went through Polytech High School, and they earned some advanced standing already, and now they're going into the adult program. And they're registered apprentices. We have one young man who went through our James H. Groves adult high school program, if you're familiar with that, came from a very disadvantaged background, and it's a tremendous opportunity that he's had where we've been able to come alongside of him and help him get into a great occupation. So we've got, I think, 4 individuals we're profiling with these videos. They're all Kent County residents, and not all of them work for Kent County employers, but they all live in Kent County. And so we're excited, and they all attend programs right now at Polytech. And we're going to use those at the area high schools. Our plan is to begin to work with not just Polytech, but the FFA programs at the other schools, and begin to engage those young folks and show them that there is a real pathway here. So thank you. You've made that possible with this grant and with the work that you guys have done, and we really appreciate it. And if I can answer any questions, you know, and I just want to say one last thing. I do really appreciate listening to all the folks that went before me, everybody from Ms. McKendall to the folks here from the partnership here in downtown Dover, and also the DE Turf. I mean, just great stuff today. I don't usually enjoy meetings, but I really don't. I attend a lot, and this is the first one I've enjoyed in a while. So it actually has been good to hear about the good stuff going on, and so I'm thankful for it and glad to be here today. So thank you.
You're welcome any Tuesday
Questions?
night. Any questions? You're welcome any Tuesday night to come and listen to all the good stuff.
Just don't ask me to run for anything.
Anybody have any questions? No. No?
I'd like to say thank you to the grantees for taking time out when I did reach out to them and say, I'm going to be presenting to talk about this year. I hope that I think it's more impactful for you to tell your story than to just hear it from me. I know we feel good about the direction that we're going with the grants program. And I hope those videos are done in October, because they would be a great thing for us to show at the dinner that we're planning in November.
We will have it done before November.
Awesome.
I can commit to that.
Okay, awesome.
I don't know about the first, that's what I targeted.
Yep.
It may be by the middle of the month, but it will be done in October.
That would be awesome. Yeah. So we are planning to host a dinner in actually at the Harrington Fairgrounds, the Delaware State Fairgrounds. We've got a date set. And quite frankly, last year we did do a virtual presentation, and in speaking to the schools and other partners, they really said that resoundingly they liked an opportunity to be able to be in a room, to network together and get to know one another better. So having, the video to be able to show and for us to we do have a grant application out there, and we expect to be presenting, they're due by the end of this month, so October 1st. We'll be reviewing and we'll be announcing more grants that would be available for programs. And if we do that, we currently have about $20,000 in the fund that is available for giving out. So that's why I'm fundraising again, in the hopes that the county will see the value and the merit of continuing to support as a grant sponsor and marketing partner. I already have several businesses that have signed up again to support the program, and I'm optimistic that we will have more funds for next year. The long-range goal, of course, would be that we would be able to give out more than $5,000 at a clip. It's my hope that, as we grow the program, we'll be able to, maybe be creative and come up with something really unique and different that will have a real serious impact on keeping our young people here and helping businesses, hire young people and older people too, not just about young people, but,
Before I turn it over to President Pepper, one of the things that's nice about this partnership and this networking that we're doing is there's no administrative costs. This is all goes straight into the program. It's not like any other grant program I've ever seen. So it's actually a win-win all the way down the line for those who step up to the plate and want to take it in. So I just want to get that on the record because this is different. So, President?
Yeah, one of the nice things about this, I think, is there's always more applications than we've got money to go around. So, with that being said, that makes the job a little bit tougher for the people to sit on the committee because we really have to put some thought into what's being presented, and it causes some real good discussion. So, the other neat thing about it is the money actually touches individuals, and actual individuals benefit from the program. So we've been through this twice now, and
soon to be 3.
yeah. So it's been really rewarding for me to see what's out there, what kind of programs are out there that need a little boost to help folks in the community that wouldn't normally be touched by anything like this. So it's been good. It's been real good. So, and the committee, it's a good committee too. So, yeah.
Commissioner Buxton.
I'll be brief and say thank you. It was a wonderful presentation. I had concerns the first year it was introduced. The number in our grant program is quite large when you compare it to other programs that we typically don't peek into what's going on. And when it looked like it was going to be an annual, I had concerns. And I had hoped that we would get a presentation much like the one we got tonight. So I think that's comforting to see. It's exactly what you said. I'll end with this. I've said it a lot of times. It's a broken record. 2011, we mentioned the turf meeting. I also wrote a letter in 2012, 14, and 18 that articulates very clearly that we've got it backwards. That this monumental shift towards college at any cost, because that's the only path to success, has hijacked what a lot of young folks need, and that is it's okay to want to go get a skill. In fact, it's not just okay, it's a really good idea. If you want to win that fight, it's a credit battle. You got to go talk to the teachers. You got to tell them what's not working and take it out of the legislators' hands. We don't need 30 credits to graduate if your goal is to become an apprentice in a very specific skill, it jams up and clogs up. You start introducing pathways, they don't need to go down. Why? Because we sold them on college at any cost. It's my preach. Happy to have that conversation with anybody that wants it. I know Jeremy feels the same way.
Thank you for that information, because, again, one of the things that we want to do as well is to work with the county, work with the partnership, work with the Greater Kent Committee to identify how, this isn't just about the grant, the grant funding, but it's also a commitment to make sure that we're, working towards, skill sets, because it has gotten off track. And that's why when we put the plan together, it was specific to workforce development. I also would be remiss in not acknowledging, since you brought up about administrative costs, our company, the Delaware State News, loans my talents and pays my time to help administer this. So,
Thank you, Tom.
yeah, I think my boss would, and also I, had them put their money where their mouth is too. So,
Good deal.
so in addition to my, the hours that we put into it, also our company has made a cash contribution as well, so.
Anybody else?
All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
I did bring, I'm assuming you all saw the additions from last year and the year before. I did bring, in case you all haven't seen them, here, and these are from prior year. You can, yeah, these are different.
Yeah, hold
Yeah,
on.
they're
Yeah,
two
there you go.
different years, so, yeah. And then also, we did, from your investment standpoint, you're widely identified as a partner, and I brought these for you to see. And then, of course, our, extensive editorial coverage, and again, I put copies of all this. This is in your email that I sent, but you can see some of the articles, and we had a video that was produced. But if you have any particular questions, please, everybody has my number and can reach out to me. And
Is there a dollar amount or anything that you are,
Yes.
okay?
It's $15,000, 10 of which would go directly into the grant fund. And it's my hope that one of these days we're going to get someone that's going to want the whole $10,000, and it would be identified as the Kent County Levy Court grant. But for, in the absence of a $10,000 individual grant request, it goes into the pool, and you recognize that. And then the $5,000 is offsets the marketing, and you get the branding and the recognition as a partner. And to that end, I would like to point out, I feel like that having the county as a partner has a significant impact on our ability to get the other businesses on board, because they see the county as behind this important issue. It does make my job a little bit easier.
Well, I think the job is the proof in the pudding is what we're hearing and seeing, that it's working. So if they can't see that, then there's something wrong.
We are working really hard to get it, where it needs to be. And I really want your input on, from your constituents. If there's a business that says, I really need help in getting somebody that knows how to do this, we can work with these, and try and figure out ways to get those people trained and to help fund programs that will have it, have an impact.
There is. I talked to a couple of them in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, let's make sure we know about that.
Well, it's not hard.
Yeah.
They need folks that are willing to show up on time consistently and stay till the job's done.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, that is
Yeah.
the skill that is greatest
Yep.
and lacking. But
Well,
I
we
hear what
certainly-
you're saying.
Yeah,
I
we,
do.
but we really, if somebody came to us, for example, and said,
Yeah.
we would like to do a program that would really speak to the importance of showing up on time and, professional skills, we would be in a position to fund something like that.
Mhm.
Where not many people would be, not many grants would be available for that. So,
Those skills are learned
right.
in the school system and at home.
But if the schools said we wanted to, and there's a case where if they could bring to us and say, we need, we can incorporate this and this is how much it will cost, we could be in a position to fund something like that, potentially. Again, I don't know, but that's where we want to get to. So, sitting with a balance of 20,000 available when we've got, I don't even know how much people are asking for us now, for this next round. We don't have a lot of resources in place to, offer that kind of funding. But my hope is that we'll get to the point that we would be able to program, pay for some type of program for, a whole curriculum.
Anybody else? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much
Thanks,
for your
Donda.
time, and call me if you need, or email me or text me.
Glenn, you got anything?
Any public comments on these two items?
Okay.
Any public comments? Mark, anybody online? I guess Commissioner Howell on board?
Yes, he's still here.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, just want to make sure you're here.
I haven't expired yet.
He hadn't expired.
Right.
Okay, back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Okay. Good stuff. Good stuff. Finance Committee, Mrs. Maston Chair. Turn it over to you, ma'am.
Okay, the only item we have on the agenda tonight is the Milford Senior Center Project, Potential Policy 30 Grant, and I'll turn that over to Commissioner Buxton.
Well, thank you, Ms. Kopic. You're going to come down and join us now. Brenda is
Hi, guys. How are you?
How are you?
she's
Good,
director of the
thank
Milford
you.
Senior Center, and she's very excited to be here, she told me.
Thank you very much for having me. Can you hear me?
We sure can.
Okay, so first off, my name is Brenda Kopic. I'm the executive director for the Milford Senior Center, and I've been raising funds for approximately 3 years now to get our new roof replaced. They started the project on Monday. I feel very underprepared listening to everyone else, so apologize. I'm going to make this short and sweet, okay?
It's perfectly prepared then.
So the total project cost was $126,099.50, which I raised between donations and fundraising. We've raised $31,193.23, and it may help if I put these glasses on so I can see what I'm doing here. So, Alman Miller Roofing Company from Hartley, Delaware, they started the project on Monday. If they're going to spray the polyurethane, it's a flat roof, so they leak, and it's been leaking over years upon years. I've also gotten a $65,550 in grant money. So we're lacking funds of $60,559. So I'm here to ask for some money to help finish our project, pretty much, and questions.
You did great. You did great.
Thank you.
So I met with Ms. Kopic and had a conversation. We were talking about a few different things, COVID and how things are going and some of the other projects, and she presented this project, not as an ask, just as, yeah, this is what we're doing. And I said, well, the county has been receptive to assisting with these types of projects in a certain manner. And so that's how come we're here tonight. I don't know if there's questions about, it's a pretty detailed application as far as the work that's to be done. Mm-hmm. There's fairly good confidence that the funds will go directly towards that. I think the number that we're looking at is about $25,000 to contribute towards the campaign, which I think's kind of in line with what we've done with others, correct?
Yes.
So, I don't know, I don't want to ramble on. Mr. Pettit-Demas, do you have anything?
No, thank you, Commissioner Buxton. I would just say that this is the type of project that we created the Policy 30 Fund for. Worthy community projects, non-county owned, that benefit the community. So I think it's a worthy project, and so there is a motion that we prepared for you, and Commissioner Buxton and I talked about it. It's currently written at a $25,000 level. It's ultimately up to commissioners, the amount. And if you're inclined to move this forward, then it would go either on consent agenda or for action next week.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank
Do
you.
we have an agreement for the consent agenda? Show of hands.
Yeah.
Mr. Howe?
Nora, wake him up.
Hello?
He's the best.
Well, I have 6 hands, and I'm not sure about the 7th. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
great
got
job. I think I have a show of something for 7, so we'll move it forward. Thank you.
So Brenda, I think,
Is that it?
Wasn't as hard as you thought, was it?
Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful night.
hey, I want you to have a great evening too.
I'm
Just
gonna-
tell everybody you
I'm gonna-
slam dunked it.
I'm going to do that.
All righty.
Thanks for being with us.
Talking to
No,
guys.
you tell them that we fought hard.
Yes.
Tell them we fought hard.
Do we have any public comments on the topic? No public comments. Back to you, Mr. President.
Thank you, ma'am. The next item on the agenda, Public Works Committee, Commissioner Howe. Chair.
Yes, ready to go. Sorry, I would have answered a little bit earlier.
Poke out my mind's eye.
I would have answered a little bit earlier, but I just fell sick. So,
Miss Gold is in her seat and ready to proceed.
well, I'm ready to proceed too. So let's go.
Good evening, Commissioners. So the first item on the agenda is to talk about Pinehurst Village Garbage Collection District number 127, or 127. We're looking to add yard waste collection services to the district. A little bit of the background history on that is that DSWA was looking to prepare a yard waste ban, and in anticipating that need for that service, Levy Court looked for interest in the service. And what we did to assess interest by district, we did a ballot vote by district. And that established those districts at that time that had yard waste service and the ones that only had the 2 services of trash collection and recycling. So the options were two services or 3 services. And in the past 11 years, there were districts who did not have yard waste service who requested that it be added. We have it's not a common occurrence. It's happened 5 times. And we have a 6th that we've been approached by Pinehurst to add those yard waste collection services to that district. In terms of the procedures for doing this, we do it the same way we do the original district formation. We have a petition, we have a public hearing, there are resolutions brought forward to Levy Court, and this is just a review of the procedures. There's no action request tonight, but wanted to make sure that everyone understood that the petition's been brought forward for Pinehurst Village Garbage Collection District. Originally, when the votes were tallied, there were 25 for yard waste and 28 against. We now have a petition where individual owners have signed for 92 lots, and Irish Hill Associates has signed for 94 lots. So if you look at it by the number of lots, in total, 186 out of 257 are in favor. That's 72.4%. look at the individually owned lots, take out the piece that's owned by Irish Hill, 56% are in favor. So wanted to present that here tonight. This is not a place to make a decision. There will be a public hearing and an opportunity for those folks to speak for or against it at the public hearing.
I'm really surprised at Pinehurst. That's a relatively new subdivision. Usually it's the older subdivisions with a lot of vegetation growth that opts for the yard waste removal.
So the lead petitioner here, her name is Mary Davis. And during COVID, she went around and multiple signatures on multiple petitions.
Good for her.
The work was done.
Lots of work. Thanks.
So Pinehurst, the development, not Pinehurst Phase whatever, right?
Well, it's Pinehurst has section 1, the original
Yeah,
one.
right.
So under when we formed the district for garbage collection, originally it was the original section. Then we formed under District 127A, Section 2 and Section 3. Delaware Code allows those to be merged as one district, so they're all 127.
I'm good on that. I just was curious. The entire development currently right now does not have yard waste.
Correct.
Correct. So it's not really new. That thing's old.
Oh, yeah, I mean, but it's still not.
They're still building.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the tree growth is relatively new.
Because there are 94 lots still owned by Irish Hills
Yeah.
Associates.
I'm familiar with the place.
So this would start immediately upon Levy Court approving it?
No.
Or when would it start?
So the resolution is set up so that it would be effective on January 1. They're going to receive prorated services, so the difference between the yard waste, the 3 service price and the 2 service price, prorated, and it's about $14.50.
Gotcha.
And then they'll receive their yard waste cans in December. They'll get Christmas tree collection in January, and their official yard waste with the cart will begin in April.
Right. So they'll get their cans just in time, not to use them until April.
But it also allows us time to get the cans,
Right.
and deliver the cans,
Right.
and make sure everybody understands what the rules are for yard waste collection.
Gotcha. Sounds good.
Thanks,
Very,
Diana.
very good.
Appreciate that.
Very good. Any other comments about item 1? Hearing none, let's go to item 2.
Item 2, air system optimization and plant-wide standby power project. It's started out as air system, and we ended up adding on the standby power project, which is basically a generator for the plant. For the project, we're required by USDA to have a full-time on-site resident project representative. And you might ask, well, why wasn't this, you knew this was needed in the beginning, why didn't you line it up then? Well, we also didn't know what the scope of work was fully going to be at that time. So right now, we're at a point where we've got an estimate for those services. We're looking at amending the contract and increasing it by $331,000. In addition to the RPR services, there were some other design changes that were needed, and that's incorporated in that cost. So we're looking to amend the contract and have the president of Levy Court authorized to sign the revised agreement.
Very
Mr.
good.
Hack?
Any questions? Yes. Questions?
No.
Don't see any.
No questions? Okay, good. All righty, all in favor of consent agenda, including me? Assuming it's 7-Up.
Yours is up, yes.
Yeah, 7-Up, very good. Are there any public comments anywhere?
There is.
Hearing none?
There's not.
Any public comments?
Back to you.
Diana.
Thank you, Diane.
Heck of a job.
Anything for executive session tonight?
No executive session tonight.
With that being said,
Looking forward to
adjourn.
Thank you.
Hey, Lori. I just sent you an email.
Good job, everybody.
Stay with it,
Good night.
Glenn.
See you, Glenn.
Put some shorts on next time.
Oh, you party pooper.
Can you print out that, I sent you an email a second ago. Just print something out. It's pretty simple stuff. The
Terry.
tax bill.
Yeah.
You sent me a text.
About the,
It's $40.
the fee. Yeah.
What does that mean? So if I pay my tax online, it's $40?
Do I have anything? Costs you $40
Because
more.
it's a percentage of the total bill?
Total bill.
And that's because of the contract we have set up?
At the Vietnam vets at long maturity.
And is